Before we start the easiest painting ever, you're going to need some unusual tools. You're going to need a container of plastic wrap. You're going to need a couple of heavy books, and you're going to need a large brush. If you don't have a large brush, you're better off jumping on a house painter's brush than trying to tough it out with a little one, because speed is going to count. Because we want to be able to paint very fast, we're going to need two things first. First thing we're going to need is a plan. What I have in mind is a kind of swirly sort of thing, and I think I'll draw it in now. Here's one part of the swirl. I want to break it so it's not just continuous. Here's the rest of the swirl, and notice I'm not coming out of the corner. I'm being very asymmetrical coming out of the corner with a long side and a short side. And I'm going to come out here and define this swirl there and kind of finish it here. I'll also get myself a little more here, and that should do it. What I think I'll do is make this a predominant red. So this is going to be red, this is going to be red, this is going to be red, this is going to be yellow, this is going to be yellow, and this is going to be yellow. And I'm actually going to leave this map off camera and refer to it as I paint. The next thing we're going to need is guts. I have my quarter sheet of watercolor paper clipped at the top to my plastic board. I have all of my colors at least as wet as when they came out of the tube, because I have no time to start scrubbing up colors and softening them. I'm going to paint with my 1-inch brush, but I'm going to use a larger brush to wet it with. You don't need to use a brush. You could use a spray bottle full of water. You could use a sponge, a rag. The only thing I don't want you to do is get the water on the back, and we're not going to wet it as though we're going to paint wet and wet, because I don't want the backside of this paper wet. I'm not hurrying this wetting process, but I'm going to take about a minute. If you take 2, that's okay too. I wouldn't go any longer than that. What I want is just a little bit of working time, but in the end I want the back of the paper to absorb the paint from the front. So here we go. Let's start with a nice lemon yellow, and I'm going to do just what I said I was going to do. Paint it in here. I'm not wet enough. I got to add water as I go, lots of it. There we go. That's what I want. More lemon yellow over here. More lemon yellow here. And this now defines the shape of our shapes. I've got some drips of yellow over here. I don't care. I'm going to actually take the edges of this yellow and get in some good warm yellow here. Actually, I don't too much care if these yellows bleed together. I don't care too much what happens at all, as long as everything is Wet, wet, wet. And I'm feeding fresh water into the paper with the paint all the time. Now, clean up just a little bit. Let's get a bit of warm red. Red toward the orange. And now I can just follow on my map the red spot. Now for a lot of variety, I'm going to take now my cool red and put a good amount of that in. I'm just going to have a little fun now. Take a minute to exaggerate my colors here. And then take a little water and that's good. That's fine. That's excellent. Just looking at it, I mean, maybe I just need a little more paint density in a spot or two. Not bad. What do you think? I think that's pretty cool. Alright, wasn't exactly like the map, but that's alright because I really don't care, but I needed something just to give me an idea how it's going to go. And that's it. I think I'm happy with that. Let's take a little of this yellow here into the red maybe. Okay, that's fine. Now, what am I going to do? I'm going to take some of my plastic wrap. I'm just using a knife to cut it with, just to cut it clean. I'm going to stretch the wrap a little bit, just so that it doesn't have any flat shape. And I'm going to crinkle this wrap up before I put it down, and then I'm going to put it down in the messiest way possible. Here's another piece. If I don't have enough wrinkles, I can make some more. I can push them in and push them up, because I don't care. I just want a lot of texture. I have lost the end to my plastic wrap, and that's bad news. Okay, I got it back. Same over here. Put this down. Okay. Boy, it's almost drying. I don't want that to happen. I want this to be absolutely heavily textured. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to unclip the painting from the plastic board. I'm going to pick it up with my knife here. I'm going to pick up the plastic board and put it right down here. Clean it quickly so I don't mess up my books. And then put my books on it. And leave it alone. Come back in an hour. Okay, it's been about an hour. It's time to disassemble this thing. Kind of exciting to see what we're going to get. I don't know. It's probably nothing like what we planned. And ta-ta-da-da! Now, it's still wet, but the paint has been textured by the plastic wrap in a marvelous, marvelous way. Let's take a look at this. Sadly, there's no way the camera can pick up the gorgeous details in this painting. You really have to do it yourself to see how it works. You can use your colors, your design, it doesn't matter. Let it happen. Here's another one of these paintings. It was made by the exact same method. The only difference, of course, besides the color, was that there was no weight put on top of the folds. They were just allowed to fall where they did and dry that way. That accounts for the much wider fold marks, and I kind of think I like that better. We call this painting a start. It's a start because people start with something like this and paint on top of it. You can do a lot of things with a start, and I'll show you some of them in future lessons. One of the things you can do is just frame them, and that's the way they become the easiest painting ever.